Pleased now to be joined by Stephanie Hamill, contributing writer at the Media Research Center. Stephanie, thanks so much for coming on the program tonight. And I want to talk about something I touched on earlier, about how the left went nuts and went crazy, taking out of context the story that Trump said there was going to be a bloodbath in the American auto industry if he wasn't reelected. Let's just recap this for a second here.
This was not some meandering off-message comment. Trump's allusions to political violence are not merely rhetorical. His supporters take them literally. That's part of the big problem here.
When the former president, who's already incited violence among his followers, says that there's going to be a bloodbath, he is telling us what he is going to do.
What I heard was a continuation of the same rhetoric, the same endorsement of political violence that we've seen from Donald Trump for years.
And after being hounded for their deceptive coverage of this, our friends at The View still refuse to accept reality.
So no, we're not taking it out of context, because the context is his history and his life.
Now, Stephanie, tell me what your take is on all of this. This is the most unfair beat-up I think they've done in a long time. But what are your thoughts?
My thoughts are, James, is that we have an information crisis going on in this country. And ironically, it's coming from those who bang the drum the most about the dangers of misinformation. And what we just saw here was another hoax, just to add to the list of all the hoaxes that have been peddled by the mainstream media in regards to former President Donald Trump. I mean, the list is so long. And what really irritates me is that these people are either very lazy, very dishonest, or they have motives for doing this. I mean, it's very easy to watch the entire clip and understand what's going on there unless you're not very smart. As you pointed out, former President Donald Trump was talking about the auto industry. And really what he was saying was, hey, look, the tariffs are unfair. The U.S. typically gets the short end of the sticks when it comes to tariffs. And if I become president again, I'm going to fix that. I'm going to go to bat for the American people and make sure that the deals are fair. And yet somehow, not everyone in the mainstream media, but a lot of people somehow twisted this into how Donald Trump's calling for another January 6th type thing and that he's an insurrectionist. Yet, by the way, he's never actually been charged with, and he was never actually convicted of an insurrection. So, I mean, the lies just keep going on. And you would think that these people who want to be taken seriously would do some self-reflection after getting it wrong so many times over the years, yet they don't. I mean, it's just totally egregious.
What? And I mean, Stephanie, anybody who lived through and remembered the 2020 mostly peaceful protests will remember a thing or two about the way the left could incite political violence as well. But I want to ask you also about another story here, too, which is about the media arena we all swim in, controlled by the internet and the big tech companies. The Media Research Center's Free Speech America researchers have gone and done, I think, a pretty important piece of work here, exposing 41 times that Google has been caught interfering in U.S. elections. And this has been going on for at least 16 years. Stephanie, tell us about this. It's extraordinary.
That's right. And I'm glad that you brought this up. So the Media Research Center researchers really put together a very interesting and very detailed 16-page report on these instances, as you pointed out, 41 instances of it. And it's kind of what we've talked about before, is that there's algorithms that seem to be in favor of the left. And what this report found is that not only are they typically in favor of the left, but they're in favor of the most liberal candidates. So this goes as far back to 2008. And the researchers are saying that actually Google may have interfered in the 2008 primary between Barack Obama and Hillary Clinton in support of Barack Obama. And how Google would do this, what researchers found is that they would hide campaign messaging, they would push information into further pages so it wouldn't be the first thing that you would see when you would do the Google search. And so basically it's a manipulation of the algorithm. And they're saying that it's actually escalating and increasing as we go into 2024 in support of Joe Biden. So again, it's not just necessarily against Republicans, it is, but also the liberal candidates who are a threat to the chosen liberal candidate. So, and the big picture here is that this is a threat to democracy, right? You don't want the Google overlords or the people behind the scenes trying to influence how you think and how you vote.
And I mean, this comes down to that whole sort of question that we have with the big tech companies about whether or not they're publishers, and so they have a certain set of rights and obligations, or whether they're more of a public square. And to hear you say it, basically, you're saying Google is kind of like a public square, and they are subtly tilting what we hear in it with potentially shifting, more than 1 or 2 or 3 percentage points of votes one way or the other as they'd like to do. That's pretty scary, isn't it?
It is. And Google has come out and they denied the allegations and claims that were put forth in this report. But again, I am encouraging your audience to go read this report and look at the examples of it. And it is pretty hard to deny. And they're saying that, why would we do this to our audience? We want to be fair to all sides. This is our business model. We want everyone to use Google and do their searches there. But again, you got to see how this is all going on behind the scenes and the examples of it. So, I mean, it's pretty hard to ignore.
Finally, I want to ask you about this story, which I guess in some ways completely unsurprising news. A new study out of Finland has found that woke people are, get this, more unhappy, anxious, and depressed. Now, I don't know about you, Stephanie. I spend a lot of time on social media. I find all the woke people I encounter there to be rays of sunshine who have no personal issues or neuroses. What do you make of this study?
I'm assuming you're being sarcastic, because I usually find them to be the angriest, craziest people online. Very mean to, by the way, the things that they say to me. I mean, if you're fussing around and worrying about pronouns and all of these things, I would say that you're living a very privileged life if that's your biggest concern of the day. But yeah, I mean, these people, I'm not surprised by the findings of this study.
Yeah.
And my advice to those people who are unhappy is get outside, exercise, eat healthy, start a family, find some hobbies.
Bingo. Couldn't say it better myself. Stephanie Hamill, thank you so much for the Media Research Center. Really appreciate it.